Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and welcome back to the Burning House Fire. So, yesterday we had a statement and then an apology by Creative Assembly. Well, not really an apology because it was more of a we're sorry we got caught situation. That's what's on screen right now. And you might think it's over, but it's not. You see, the same person that wrote the apology was continuing to respond on the forum thread. So yeah, we can talk about a few more things. So yeah, let's get started, shall we? Right, so when asked about approval of the statement, we now have an answer. That responsibility always lies with myself. We owe it to all our members of the Steam community to help people who post and use the forums here by ensuring that the forums can be used by an appropriate manner. Of late, and understandably for all the frustrations felt, the forums have not been a space where people are able to start a discussion thread and have it run on for multiple replies before degenerating into instances of abuse being directed towards other members of the community, content creators covering the game, or members of Creative Assembly staff. The post was only ever drafted and subsequently posted under guidance and approval by myself. Working with my community team. And so to best reply to your question, that responsibility lives and lies with me. All too happy to always hold my hand up when actions taken by our team are shown to be insufficiently addressing the problem or not efficiently communicating. Okay, so a few little bits of context here. To Mr. Freeman, if you're watching this video, because at the end of the day, I think communication is always going to be the best thing, and communication for myself is going to give you a little bit more context. You guys haven't addressed the problem. You haven't addressed the problem. You apologized, which wasn't really an apology. The threat on the original post was, again, another issue that was caused by Creative Assembly. None of these statements should have gone through. The first statement that came out yesterday afternoon should have not been approved, because if you read through that and you have experience in the gaming industry, which I know you do for a fact because I've been in your LinkedIn, stuff like that does not fly. The community's on fire for a very good reason. It's been nothing but constant no communication from Creative Assembly, and then when we do get official communication, unfortunately, it's just been plain bad. The statement right before the embargoes for Shadows of Change, for example, and now this. It's not good. It is not good. It makes people angrier. The reason why the forums are in a place where everyone is literally attacking each other is because people are now legitimately concerned that it's not just the future of Hyenas, which was on the balance and then axed, but the future of Creative Assembly in general. Total war, not just Pharaoh, but Warhammer 3, anything that might have been coming in the future. The communication needs to be done in a way that needs to be written by a member of the community, I think, at this point. Not a member of the community team. When asked if they were just doing a course correction in the apology or if they just realized they were too mask off in the last post, the response was, honestly, it's both. In neither circumstance, it is done so with malicious intent or on our part. However, I appreciate it's easy to make the assumption. This is just straight up myself and the team asking ourselves the question if we can better serve you in this moment as community management and making sure we can hold ourselves to account. Okay. No, the statement has always been bad. The statements have been bad for the time being. Maybe they'll get better in the future, but again, I have to ask you, with all due respect, reading that statement, who thought that the original one was good in any way, shape, or form? It's the same thing, again, called into question with the original one with Shadows of Change. Reading through that, sometimes, yes, those are the things that you guys do. I understand it, the banning and all this stuff, but saying it's a right of privilege or, again, such as the cost of supporting Warhammer 3, the fact of the matter is we know those things. We do. You don't have to remind us, because if anything, that just adds fuel to the fire, which, again, it has done. Foresight on these matters, especially if you've been serving this community for a while, you should know how the community feels at this point. It's important because you say that you're thinking ahead, but it's not. Okay, this one's a fairly lengthy response as the commenter has asked a lot of questions, so let's jump in, right? Thanks for welcome. Please never let me ever come across as anything other than another member of the community, okay? But you're not really. You're someone that works for CA, so you're not a member of the community. You are one of the animal handlers. I'm sorry, but that's literally it. A member of staff can't be a member of the community if they just introduce themselves during a shit show. If you want to be considered a member of the community, what you have to do is be active with the forums, active with us. It's just how it is, right? Which kind of works out because here's his other comment. And don't ever be too shy to hold up the mirror if you feel there's something ever in my tone or words which suggest otherwise. I refer to you to my earlier statement. We are truly receptive to all feedback. Debatable. We recognize that we are only able to react to feedback based on the resource available to us. Okay, fair enough. And that sometimes that feedback we get leads us onto deeper root causes that see us react differently to how you might expect us to, but ultimately in a way that steps towards the same goal. One example that would be in the change of behavior that you've seen from our teams these past few months since Shadows of Change launch. You've seen us deploy more incremental updates, hotfixes, than we have previously, helping us to address issues and respond to the feedback that we've had from players since Update 4.0 went live. These fixes aren't just bled off 4.1 or just a drip feeding of already developed changes. These are fully responsive fixes based on the most recent reactions to the live build. Fair enough, but it calls into question, why wasn't this happening since 3.1? Because the issues started in 3.1, not 4.0. There were many calls of it because a Bretonnia rework came out and was not fixed. In fact, the statement that came out for the 4.0 debacle was, saying, oh yeah, we fixed it. It's like, no, that should have been fixed with a hotfix. Why are hotfixes only coming out when the community gets angry? The community shouldn't have to get angry for hotfixes to appear. No other game company I've seen has been waiting for community outrage for hotfixes to happen. Let's continue. That action is a direct response to the feedback that we see coming from multiple different angles, like the ones you raise in your question to me. Other reactions and changes we appreciate can't always be measured until you have them in your hands, so we respect that we'll need time to go by before we're able to fairly judge on how responsive you feel we are to feedback from all sources. But you're not. Literally, it's only when drama appears. Let's continue. On Engine. I naturally can't use these forums here to discuss internal development plans, irrespective of whether or not we are or are not hard at work at exactly the type of thing. It could be painted as me making an announcement or suggestions. Yeah, okay, that's fair. At the end of the day, they can't really talk about too much, which, yeah, I understand that because it's not his department, right? The next part is, yes, they do actually test the builds. Many members of Creative Assembly staff do actually play the game, apparently, which again calls into question, why was 3.1 launched if people play the game? Apparently nobody played Bretonnia. They had a Bretonnia update and nobody played it. You can see why myself and other people don't actually believe this, because again, why are things happening like this, right? And I must say one thing. I know Creative Assembly staff do play this game because I do talk to a lot of Creative Assembly staff, not just like the influencer people. And I know that they're playing the game, and I know that they find issues which get fixed prior to even announcements and stuff. But it's really hard when the Bretonnia thing happened. And I'm going to keep mentioning that because, yeah, sour taste in my mouth. The reaction shouldn't have been 4.1. Again, it should have always been 3.1. And hotfixes should, in fact, be happening every fucking time that issues arise. When asked about the right of privilege, the response was as follows. On reflection, it does. And it's what prompted each of us to sit down as a team this evening before folks headed off home for the weekend and ask ourselves if we were happy living with that out there in folks' minds. Bottom line is we weren't. What was intended to be advertised to all is that we want for all discussion to be respectful of the rules / other community members of our development team, and that when approaching conversation on the forums, we need to ask each person to make their comments with respect for the persons they direct those comments to. in a horrible and ironic manner, we fail to meet that same basic standard by unfairly making assumptions of each and every user that we advertise that to, versus those very few who fall foul of that standard. We fucked up how we communicated that, and that's on me, as the head of department, simple as. My question then stands, did you read the statement before it went live? Again, not calling into question your job, but the fact of the matter is, the community aren't children. Total War games resonate with everyone of all ages. I myself are in my 30s. A lot of my viewers are in their 30s and 40s because they've been here for a while, especially the Warhammer Fantasy fans. A lot of them are going to be 30 all the way up to 50 because it's when Warhammer Fantasy was active. We're adults. We want to be spoken to like adults. Right of privilege is not a thing. When you purchase a product, that's already the right given to you. You can criticize it as much as you want because you've purchased the product. Okay, so this commenter was kind of angry because of the whole in the coming week situation, and we do have a response. My comments of in the coming weeks relates to solely to us being much clearer and fairer in how we advertise the standard of practice we employ in relation to moderation here on the forums. How does that take a few weeks? Literally just show 2 examples. One of someone criticizing the game, right? Saying, hey, this doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. And the other one is just someone constantly swearing and calling someone else a moron. Hell, I could go in through the forums in literally, 2 minutes and find you those examples. Just what the community, no, better yet said, what your paying customers need is actual communication. What's happening with 4.1? What's happening with Thrones of Decay? Are we going to actually see more DLC? Is Creative Assembly literally that much on fire right now that nothing makes sense to them as much as it doesn't make sense to us? Your customers are basically your stakeholders in your company because we are the ones that are keeping you afloat. We deserve to know what's going on. There are other companies who do this. Hell, Blizzard, as bad as they are with communication and other things, even they've been more transparent about everything with Diablo 2, and they didn't wait months to be able to do that. They were reactionary, they were doing dev streams, they were communicating more. You had their developers, their chief of product officer, whatever the hell that title is, they were communicating on Twitter and everything. We need responses. We need responses. Another person asked, like, why did it take weeks to come up with a guidance on what is tolerated and what is not? Yeah, and I call that into question too. Keep in mind that this has been constant for weeks now. When content creators were getting attacked publicly, that's fine, right? When other members of the community were getting attacked publicly, that's fine. When a member of CA staff was getting attacked, that wasn't fine. I mean, what the hell, man? There's no point even reading over his response because nothing was really answered. Nothing about the gaslighting into buying the DLC because yes, that was gaslighting. The original statement in 4.0 was gaslighting. Man, I'm a person who a lot of people call a shill. And you know what? I am unapologetically a Warhammer shill because Warhammer for me is very important. And I'm at that point where I just don't want to talk about the game. And it sucks because I want to talk about the game, but you guys are killing it for me, and you're killing it for everyone else. The other person's correct there with the whole, do you just want us to go to other games? Do you want us to go to other studios? Because now people don't feel like they can leave feedback. Whether it's good feedback or not, the forums are now on fire. Well, they've been on fire, but now extra was added to it. Alright, so this one's quite large as, it's a really big response. It's responding to a number of things. We're going to have to cut it in two. So they can't talk to us about the whole thing about a custodian team, but they hear people asking for it. It's just they don't want to pull the wool over our eyes. I mean, now it's when you're thinking a little bit ahead, not right to discuss or right as a privilege or whatever the hell that statement was. Yes, Stellaris is a good example. Stellaris has a phenomenal system with a custodian team which makes sure that things are kept working, which is super important for a game like Stellaris and like a game like Total War. Total War Warhammer is massive. Just 3 games alone, £180, right? There's a lot of money being put into that. On the pricing, he can't really talk about. Again, fair enough. He's a member of the community team, not another one. But I really do hope that the feedback is being shoveled into these people, the managers who for some reason don't want to make themselves known publicly and don't actually want to talk to us. But the main thing that we need to talk about is the communication section. He says, it's inconsistent, I hear you on that. It shouldn't have taken actions like today to allow you to feel like there's a better standard of dialogue back and forth. It's very stop and start. And even just here in this thread, we're all each being exposed to different perspectives people have on the topic and tell us more versus do more. Okay, look, this is the big thing, right? You can talk about this all you want. But if you're saying, oh yeah, we didn't do enough, bloody do enough then? You've been in the company now for 4 months apparently, right? And that's perfectly fine. Where's everyone else? Where are all the other community members? Why hasn't there been enough communication? Because at the end of the day, it's something that needs to be done. Without communication, your game dies because it affects everyone. I'll be very honest with you that promising to do better means fuck all to me until you actually show it. Actions speak louder than words, and it's really frustrating that for the past year and a half since Warhammer released, Warhammer 3, it's been, hey, shit shows happen, hide our heads. Someone pointed it out on a number of places that when the problems arose with the Twisted and the Twilight, despite that creators weren't really, their feedback wasn't taken into account, but when the community went all out, yeah, there was a response within days. It was quick. It wasn't a, let's wait a month and see. Well, in this point, it's literally like close to what, 2 months and a bit now? Because it's been like 9 weeks since the price was revealed, you know? This is more a question now to upper management of Creative Assembly, which I doubt are going to be watching this video, but what has changed from there? What staff members have been let go? What staff members have been left to warrant the drastic downturn in communication? And what can you do better to assure that that doesn't happen again? There's a few more responses, so I'll link the discussion thread again so you guys can read over it. The problem is, and I'm going to be very honest with you guys, I'm tired of the fact that it takes a shit show to warrant any single response from Creative Assembly, especially when they say that they're going to do better. You guys might not remember, but a few months ago, we literally had a video of someone speaking on behalf for Creative Assembly saying that they were going to prove us wrong, that the DLCs were going to be great and so on. Why did that age like milk? This didn't even turn to cheese, this didn't turn to butter, this curdled and rotted. There are constant promises and those promises are not kept. You're a AAA studio, you are expected to be held at a bigger regard. And it sucks, man, because I'm a person who has defended Creative Assembly constantly. I have defended Creative Assembly on a number of occasions, and every time I'm made to look like the idiot. At this point, I am not expecting anything. I'm just asking Creative Assembly, politely, angrily, or whatever you want to call it. Creative Assembly, please, do better. That's all we ask for. That's all the fan base asks for. We want to buy the products. Do better. Anyways, I'm just going to call it a day here. I'm tired. I'm going out tonight. I'm going out. I'm going to an event and so on. I want to have some fun. Because I feel like I deserve to go out and have some fun and not worry about anything. So I'm going to leave my phone at home. If someone at Creative Assembly decides to go off on another rant, I'm just not even going to cover it today. I want to have some fun. I want to relax. I'll see you all again very, very soon. I'm going out this evening. I'm going to have some fun. I suggest you guys too. Have some fun, play some games, go out, have a beer, because life is way too short to be stressed out about someone else's incompetence. Have a good day, guys. Yeah. Well, have a good weekend too, because it's Saturday, so have a good one.